Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video, we're going to ask the question as to what is going on with all these wildfires. So guys, apparently we're all paying attention to what's going on. There's wildfires everywhere. Seems like the world is burning as if the Bible is coming true. But anyway, wildfires happen every year. We know this. This is wildfire season. Pretty much everywhere around the world has a wildfire season, so it's not uncommon. But what's uncommon is some of the places they're happening and the frequency or the amount of wildfires that are being seen. That's what's uncommon. Now, of course, guys, right out of the gates, every article that you read about wildfires, no matter where it is around the world, there's the beginning paragraph that states such and such country or such and such area seeing wildfires because of climate change. They link climate change right to it. Now, Greece is where I'm going tomorrow, or rather today. I should be here today, which is a Saturday. They are seeing wildfires, and they have right now are currently 209 wildfires throughout the entire country of Greece. Their biggest one is the one in the, if I'm not mistaken, northeast section of Greece, which is now expanding into Turkey, and I'm going to get into what's going on with Turkey and the fires there. So anyway, the wildfires that are going on in Greece killed 20 people. 18 of them were migrants. 2 of them, I'm not sure who they were, but now the death count is at 20. Not that it's a big to-do, but everybody's like, any life loss is a lot, whatever. 20 people are dead. Not that big in comparison to what happened in Maui. So now, guys, the fire is starting to stretch. That area is starting to stretch into Turkey. Now, apparently, guys, Greece is experiencing the same wind effects like Maui did, where they're having gale force winds, which are pushing the fire along. Again, I don't know much about Greece or Turkey for that matter, but they're both stating dry season, high winds, a lot of fire. A lot of the fire spots are experiencing the same kind of conditions, if you will, before. Now, granted, yes, it needs to be dry, and it needs to be dry for a long period of time, also with high temperatures, or heat, rather. Greece had seen a heat index of 104 for a few days, and then this fire happened. Though this is their biggest fire, they've had other fires leading up to this one in Greece. Now, 209 means it's all over Greece and not just in that one spot. And they've had fires earlier this year, I think as early as April or March or something like that. So again, not uncommon, but it's the amount of fire they're seeing now, which of course, when they mentioned 209 fires, they follow that up with these are the most fires Greece has ever seen. Now, Turkey seeing fires as well. They've had fires over the course of the year as well. I think starting back in February or March, they've seen their first wildfire spreading all over Turkey. And again, it's in different spots. It's not all in one spot. This spot now that the fire extending from Greece into Turkey is just another fire they have to contend with. Now, all of the fires that they've seen all over Turkey or Greece, they're evacuating everyone, right? They're not taking anything to chance. Everyone is leaving, with the exception of those migrants that died. They think they came over the border from Turkey into Greece and just got caught up in some shit. Now, Greece right now, guys, has 99,000 acres on fire. Probably 100, let's round it up to 100 acres on fire in Greece. That is right now. In Turkey, on the other side, they're experiencing the extension fire right now, which is their biggest battle, being that the other ones were smaller fires, if you will. And a lot of these fires happen in different provinces over Turkey, across the country of Turkey. And Turkey is pretty fucking big. I really never paid attention to the country until now. Pretty big country. They have fire spots all over the place. Now, they've had in 4 different areas. One is called Marmaris, which I'm pretty sure I said wrong. And then there was the one called Dandelis Strait. And they had one by an resort that wasn't that big, but nonetheless, it was a wildfire in the province of Antalya, India. And then he had the one that's extending over from Greece into Turkey. So Turkey's seeing their own bullshit as well. But then you have Canada. Canada has a ton of wildfires going on right now as we speak. Canada is facing 374 wildfires going on right now. Again, Canada sees wildfire all the time, though each year, guys, there's more wildfires in these places. So Turkey, Greece, they see wildfires all the time, but this year they're seeing more. Canada, United States, we see wildfires all the time, but we are seeing more of them. And they keep going along the same conditions of dry, no rain, windy, which is pushing the fire. Now, again, guys, wind, I don't know what wind is like in Turkey. I know Greece can be pretty windy depending on where you are in Greece. United States can be pretty windy as well, but they all have the same identifying markers of a wildfire. Now, you would think nothing about it at first, again, being that United States now has 91 wildfires over the entire country, of the United States. Oregon being the biggest one they have right now that they're contending with. Maui was off mainland, if you will, fire, the biggest one they've seen in Hawaii, but it was the biggest death toll we've seen in decades, the Maui fire, and that one was the same thing. Again, dry, windy, with gale force winds from a hurricane that was 500 to 800 miles away. I'm just pointing out the suspiciousness of it, but I'm not a meteorology, so my conspiracy theory side is kicking in. Also, that Hawaii has a lot of humidity in the air because it's surrounded by water, and somehow they still had a dry season long enough to start this fire that moved just in the area that needed to be cleared out so that they can build what they needed to build. Just a little suspicious and a little on the nose. Now, I don't know what's going on in Turkey and Greece that those fires are going on, other than they're probably just that, just wildfires. But the more wildfires we have, guys, the more they start blaming climate change, the more their argument could be cemented so that they could put down these restrictions or hand out these restrictions around the world. Because as you saw, when New York went through Canadians' wildfire back in June, the first but the first suggestion they went back to was put a mask on your face. Then they went ahead and started telling people, stay indoors. We started seeing the same bullshit we saw with Mr. 19 with some smoke. So the more fire that's going on, guys, the more smoke in the air, the more pollutant the air is, the more concrete these liberals or the elites have to tell us, stay indoors, put a mask on your face. Bad enough, we're already seeing mandates come back for the mask around the nation. Now with all these wildfires, they're telling us another reason to put something on our face. Now, guys, back to Canada. Obviously, 347 fires across the entire continent of Canada. According to this map, it looks like everybody should be dead, but apparently not. Most people live, from what I was told, closer to the southern border of the United States, where a lot of that area that's on fire is actually woods. Either they should have no animals or everybody's dead. You choose. And if you know somebody in Canada, send them a text right now. God bless, I love you. Godspeed. Because that's what it looks like according to this map. Nonetheless, guys, they're seeing way more fire on the eastern side of Canada than they ever have in their history, according to them. So now, again, guys, with that, a lot of that fire is over there. Smoke is shifting down to us, and now they're telling us we got to put a mask on our face. I didn't hear about the 91 fires across the United States and anyone mentioning putting anything over your face. But the 147 that are on the eastern edge or eastern side of Canada, they're telling us that that could affect us and it's affecting our health. Of course, guys, they've done studies that said that the smoke that we're getting from Canada is affecting our health. And there could be a long-term effect of the smoke that affected us back in June. Speculating some shit that they don't even know anything about. They're throwing that fear-mongering title out there of this could affect us over the long run, instead of just being like, you know, guys, let's be easy. Let's do some research quietly, and if we find something, then we publish it. But instead, they're publishing fear first before they actually publish a study. This, guys, goes along with the fear-mongering bullshit of getting everybody in line because they're like, well, these wildfires are causing health issues. We have to do something. Climate lockdown is coming right around the corner, and that's when they tell people stay indoors and wear an N95 mask when you're inside. I know that's coming because morons will do it. They will absolutely shower with an N95 mask on because they're idiots. According to the NIC, or the NIFC, sorry, I'll put their designation down here now, there were 37,000 forest fires or wildfires here in the United States versus 2020, where there was 32,000. So they're like, look, 5,000 more, climate change. According to them, something like 1.8 million acres have burned so far here in the United States. That is not including Canada, and I don't think that includes Maui. I don't think so. So, again, guys, giving us these numbers to get you anxious, to have your anxiety go up so that you start taking your meds and dole out and fucking start, oh man, that's okay. I'll do whatever they say to save the environment. Because they're going to continue to tell us that they're going to save the environment by taxing the shit out of us, making new rules and regulations. Meanwhile, factories all over the world that are pumping shit into the air that are actually damaging the people who live around it or hurting the people's health that live around it, they're not telling them to shut that down. But let's shut off our cars, take away our gas stoves, make sure we don't eat red meat, because crickets and bugs don't harm the environment. This is the direction we're going in. So I have to mention the Maui fire. The Maui fire has 114 or 115 people dead, confirmed dead, with over 800 to 1,000 people still missing. My theory is a lot of those people jumped into the water to get away from the fire and they floated out to sea. And if they floated out to sea, you'll never see them again. But still, guys, that fire in itself is suspicious alone. And I already went over it in a video as to why it's suspicious. There's so many red flags about that fire, and the area where it happened in, you can't ignore the evidence that something is up with this fire. Now, the deadliest fire in history wasn't the Maui fire, though it was the deadliest in decades. The deadliest was in Wisconsin back in 1847 in Pestiago, Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. The fire wasn't in 1847, it was in 1871, October 8th, in, again, the town of Pestiago, Wisconsin, which was a lumbering town, and they had migrants or illegals or immigrants, whatever you want to call them, Irishmen, Italians, flooding there for work and jobs, especially in the lumber field. So anyway, they had a dry season. They had a dry fall, winter, and summer. And come around fall again, they had this fire in October. So keep in mind, guys, the town had 2,000 people. 1,152 people died. Now, the reason for this big death was, keep in mind, the town was a lumber town, so everything was made of lumber. Lumber was dry. They had a dry season, a lot of pine around them because they were surrounded in the pine forest, and they had a brush fire that got away from them, and of course, it burned the entire town out. Half the town died. The other half, or less than half, that didn't die had ran off into a lake, and they stayed there until the fire was done. So the fire moved so fast. They also had gale force winds, or rather high winds, coming off the top of the mountain that pushed the fire into town. And as eyewitnesses said, it moved so fast no one could do anything. Just the, I think, 900 people that survived, and they either escaped out of town or escaped into a lake, and that's how they survived. Again, that was the biggest fire, the biggest death that America's ever seen. I don't think we'll see anything that big, but I don't want to jinx it. Nonetheless, guys, this is all propaganda. Now, not that fire, not the 1871 fire, but the recent ones. It's all propaganda because they're linking it all back to climate change with no evidence, with no research into how it started, other than, oh, it was dry and hot. Never mind the fact that somebody might have lit these fires, whether it was in Canada, Greece, Turkey, not Turkey, but Canada, Greece, yeah, Turkey included, here in the United States. No one's suggesting that these weren't started. They're all saying that it was just climate change, and because it was dry. No one's, again, no investigation. They're just blaming climate change, guys. And if they don't investigate, they don't try to see how it started, they're going to look at it and go, it's climate change. Now, Hawaii's situation right now, they're trying to pull back on the electric company possibly starting it, because they're looking at the electric company and go, well, if we blame the electric company, we can't blame climate change. So they're pulling back away from that a little bit at a time. And if you start noticing, you're hearing less of it. Not that you're not hearing it at all. You're hearing less of it. And they're sitting there trying to blame climate change for the Maui mess. Interestingly enough, there are too many red flags for this to be climate change. And there's more speculating evidence, or speculating theories, that it was started, being that it started in 4 different spots. Like a lot of these fires have been started in multiple spots, not just in one. But they want to go with climate change because it helps their agenda and it helps them force bullshit upon us. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.